Paul, a tough result to take against a team where you perhaps could have taken a win.
Yeah, obviously, it's disappointing after coming off such a fantastic win against Worcester to come home. We played on the same pitch, another very good pitch again, slightly held more, the ball stayed in the wicket a fraction more this game, obviously, as it's over 100 overs old. So we probably just didn't execute our skills well enough with the bat. Colin Ackerman had a fantastic sort of anchor innings again, back-to-back hundreds, so we've got to, give Ackers huge credit for that. Played beautifully. Just needed meaningful partnerships with him. We just didn't quite keep those rolling on. We just kept losing wickets consistently, and we just didn't take any momentum forward. We were just a little bit reactive rather than having momentum and driving it forward and playing strong shots. We just had a nice, debrief chat and a really nice chat in the dressing room, all the lads, about their options and about their thought processes throughout the innings, and a lot of good things come out of it. So, the guys disappointed. We're all disappointed, of course we are. But I actually felt that Derbyshire, with the Duckworth-Lewis, I thought if they played their A game, they would have won that game probably 2.5, 3 overs out. The Duckworth-Lewis helped them a lot. It was very, very windy later on, so it was easy to target the guys bowling into the really strong wind where the bails were blowing off. So it was tough for our bowlers. But again, it's you've got to execute, and it was tough at times. But their batsmen played strong shots, pushed hard in the boundaries, pushed the drive men on the mid-on, mid-off who were in tight in the mid-wicket and extra cover. They beat them a lot, got some good twos. And they kept the ball on the ground and kept smart, and we just didn't take the game deeper enough in our batting. That was all today. It's fine margins, but today, we just didn't execute our skills enough under pressure. Guys are working hard and working well. Just today, it didn't execute well, and that's that's frustrating because we want to win, and the boys are gutted, which is a good thing. But we'll dust ourselves down and we know we can perform better.
You mentioned the Duckworth-Lewis there. Obviously, it took full effect coming in. How do you go about changing your game possibly, obviously, after the 2 rain delays? Does that affect you? Do you go out with maybe a different game plan, or do you just go out and try and do what you was going out to do there before?
Yeah, well, we had to take wickets. The longer format, the 50 over game, there's a little bit more pressure on batsmen to make sure that they get off to a decent start, and they want to make sure they rotate well. The shorter the game, the harder it is to take wickets, because they've got more of a more free rationale to go and score positively, because they've got more wickets behind them. So for the overs, if you think of a 50 over game, it's a wicket every 5 overs, and good players will get in. Somebody will get in on a good pitch, so you're going to have wickets in hand for later. So with Duckworth-Lewis bringing that down, then guys can be a little bit more positive earlier, because they know that if they're bat for 4 or 5 overs, it's actually past that stage in effect. So it makes it tougher to score. To take wickets. The less. So you've got to try and be a little bit sort of proactive with your fielding positions, and try and have the odd catcher in here, or try and squeeze stop a boundary in a certain area a bit more. But listen, it's fine margins. This game's fine margins. You can overanalyze things till the cows come home. But ultimately, under pressure, they played well at the end and they got over the line. And DT bowled a brilliant last over, and it was actually a clothed drive to mid-on that he actually got a 2, and he got a sort of a thicker outside edge, and it just sat into no man's land, and they just scampered 2 and it was in by a yard. So well done DT for that. Again, he played beautifully with the bat. Our guys down the order, some nice little cameos. Great to see Aaron Lilly come in and play a real cameo innings, clear the ropes consistently, and then DT played a little gem, and Chris Wright as well joined in as well. So just disappointing that we couldn't get some bigger partnerships, but we'll learn some good things out of it, and we'll move forward.
You mentioned Dieter's final over there. Obviously, going into that over, you would say Derbyshire were in the driver's seat, and then obviously their danger man ran himself out on the 3rd ball, and then it looked like it was the game sort of swung back our way, and then to obviously lose it in that way, does that make it just maybe a little bit more sour to take? Or
yeah, the game's never over. It's never done. And they did have the momentum coming in. The pressure is more on the bowlers and the batters at that stage. This outfield's like glass. It's incredibly quick. and a thick edge down to final leg. Wide final leg was got them back in the game with that 4. So Dieter stuck to his plans brilliantly. He kept a calm head. He executed where he wanted to execute, and it was ultimately a cloth shot that got them over the winning line. But fair play. They worked hard and good partnership. Godleman and Madsen played beautifully, as we know they are. They're two sort of key players. You try and get those guys early, then it's a different game. And going into some younger lads there, but there's maybe we'll look back in retrospect. I think possibly we chatted this morning about perhaps having a pinch hitter early against an inexperienced attack. We talked about that and didn't go with it. Maybe in hindsight we could have done that. We could have looked at as a management group. I think that we realised they were a young side and inexperienced, young lad on his debut. So maybe we missed a trick there. And we look back now. You think maybe we should have come out hard, put them under pressure. A couple of young bowlers under pressure. It's a different game, and maybe we gave them a little bit too much respect in a way and didn't try and dominate straight away. But that's something for another time, and we'll keep learning.
But there's always some positives to take. Obviously, you've alluded to some already. You can't really look much further than Colin Ackerman. Two games, 2 centuries, and for the batsmen around him to know that he can come in and do that, and now he's hitting a bit of form, gives them a bit more confidence to go in and maybe play a bit more freely and get those large scores. Yeah,
definitely. Ackers is playing beautifully. He's a high-class player that probably didn't have the best year last year. He was 1 or 2 little technical issues which is ironed out, he's come back in a really good place. Physically, mentally, technically, he's in a really good place. And he spoke in the dressing room after the game about, I asked him to speak about his mindset and how he looked to build the innings and what his thought process were, and he explained that. And it's just re-emphasising the good things that you do, and when people are playing well, they do good things and their mindset's in a good place. And Colin talked about playing strong shots, he talked about playing straight, he talked about taking the game deeper, because he knows that when he's faced 50-60 balls, the balls like a giant cricket ball coming down at him, and compared to when you first go out there. So we've just got to keep emphasising those good things that the good players do when they do well, and hopefully it grabs the rest of the guys by the scruff of the neck and drags it with them.
In the big games, they're sure not slowing up. Obviously, we've got Notts on Friday and then into Lancashire on Sunday. How are you approaching both those games, more so Notts?
Yeah, very positive. We know there's going to be some good pitches, especially Trent Bridge. It's probably one of the fastest outfields in the country. It's the highest scores, I think, around the world are at Notts consistently in one-day cricket, white ball cricket. So we know there's a very good chance there'll be a short boundary at one end, there'll be a long side at the other end. So we've got to be smart with our options, and we've got to be really committed. And guys that can get in, you're always going to make up on a pitch like that. If it takes you a few balls getting in, it doesn't really matter, because you will make up for it down the line. So something we've got to make sure that other sides have done that this year. There are a lot of teams who've got big runs there, and we've just got to make sure that we whoever executes best on the day will be successful. That our mindsets will be ready, we'll be hungry, and we've got a decent record of a not to. Sometimes they're bogey team as well, which is quite nice. We had a good victory there last year, and we'll look to go back and do well again this year.